Good evening, and thank you for joining me at Music Today. This is Keitaro Harada. The concept of the show is to bring in an artist each episode and to have a conversation with the artist about a performance we will all watch and listen together. The live component is very important because I encourage all the viewers to comment and ask questions to the artist. The idea of this show came about when COVID-19 hit, and I wanted a platform to keep the music going for our fans. Even though we may not be able to experience live performances together right now, I wanted a place where music lovers can join easily to converse with the artist and to see a more personal side of us. Music Today is a bilingual show. The live streams during your evening will be in English, and the shows that broadcast during your morning time will be in Japanese for the fans in Japan. If you want to improve on your Japanese skills, you're more than welcome to watch the Japanese shows too. And after the live streams, there's a subtitle button somewhere around here where you can click to get the subtitles in of Japanese in English. Without further ado, I'd like to bring in our guests for tonight. Since we cannot hear you applaud, please do me a huge favor and use the comment screen at the bottom of the screen to put in some clapping emojis, or you can write clap, 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 so that we know you're there and engaged. And please say hello to our guests. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Please welcome the wonderful violinist, William Hagen.
Hi, Kay. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. Where are you quarantining right now?
I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Fantastic. How long have you been in Utah? Because I remember that you were in Europe right when COVID-19 hit.
Yes, I was in Paris when the travel ban came out, or was going to be coming out. I was with Andrea, my wife Andrea, in Paris, and we had a pretty stressful trip home. This was right when stuff really started to escalate with COVID, and so that was, I think we flew back on the 13th, March 13th, something like that. But we were in Paris and we made it home, and we've just been here ever since.
Gotcha. How were you able to fulfill all of your performances when you were in Paris, or did it get cut short?
It got cut short. It was going to be 2 weekends, 6 concerts, and I was so looking forward to it. We were looking forward, all of us musicians. It was going to be with Bruno Philippe and Jérôme Ducrot. Some of my really good friends, and we were playing a beautiful piece that Jérôme Ducrot wrote. And sadly, it was cut short, and I was looking forward to it for musical reasons and for personal reasons, because Andrea was with me, and Paris is just our favorite city. Yes. So yeah, but I mean, glad we're safe. And
yeah. Well, being safe is definitely highly important. For our viewers, I want to share just a little bit about the encounter of myself and Will. We met because of this concert, which is the Tucson Symphony Masterwork Series. This was a concert in 2016, it says November 4, 5, 6. I think we performed at in Bisbee, and then 2 performances in the Tucson area in Oro Valley, and also at Catalina Hills High School. But Will wasn't supposed to be my soloist. We had a cancellation. The original program was supposed to be Fauré, Mozart Sinfonia Concertante, and Bizet Carmen Suites. And the violinist who was supposed to play in the Sinfonia Concertante had an injury and had to cancel last minute. And I still remember to this day, it was October 22nd, we found out the soloist has been injured and will not be able to perform. So myself and Alberto Gutierrez, who was the artistic consultant for the Tucson Symphony, we found you were available for a very, that week only. And then October 25th, I think it was 2 or 3 days later, after we found out about the cancellation, we had you booked, and then you said that you wanted to play Saint-Saëns Concerto No. 3. And did you come to that performance having played the Saint-Saëns 3 before, or was that part of your repertoire?
Yes, I had played it. I played it in Fort Worth. I'd played it in Brussels. And some other places. I took it on tour in Belgium, and that had been in 2015, about a year earlier. So, and I think we thought that the Saint-Saëns worked with kind of the French.
The foray and the bizet,
Exactly.
of course. I knew of you because of the Queen Elizabeth competition, where you had been a very successful American violinist at that competition, but I had never met you. I've heard of you from several of our colleagues, but we immediately clicked and we went out. I took you out for lots. One of the biggest common denominators that William and I have is that we love to eat. And I said, oh, well, you're in the right place. We're in Tucson. We've got to eat the snoring dog, Let's get a little bit of food coma from eating out. And we had like nights of sushi. Yeah,
I remember this. This is bringing back so many memories. I do remember a few things about. So I'll just First of all, really fun performances. Second of all, we talked about food endlessly. You're sharing 2 meals there. In between all the meals, I think we talked almost exclusively food and music.
I think breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we went out to eat somewhere, and this is a photo from our performance.
Yeah. Wow! Look at that.
Oh my gosh! Quite young there. I have such short hair there, but anyhow.
Me too. Wow.
there it goes. History of Kay and Will. We have some hellos from Japan. Atsuko-san, and so Hideto-kan, also from Tokyo, also from Savannah, where you just recently performed with us, Felix Albertson, and Cynthia Hale, also from Savannah. So let's talk music. Mendelssohn Violin Concerto. Tell us a little bit about this piece and what it means to you.
Mendelssohn Violin Concerto. There are a lot of violinists who say it's the greatest violin concerto. I hesitate to say anything is the greatest, just because, there's no objective way to say this is the greatest. But certainly, Mendelssohn Violin Concerto is one of the great works, not only for violin, but for any instrument. And I would say I say this a lot about a lot of the music we play. It's one of the great creations of the human race. Seriously, think about how amazing these pieces are. And the Mendelssohn is unique in so many ways. And my favorite thing, as we talk about music tonight, I'll probably talk a lot about narrative and kind of I think of music in a really, as a storytelling art. Not as a technical sound, sort of, it's not that we're just putting sound out there and, we're trying to tell a story. And Mendelssohn tells such a story. Starts in E minor, incredibly, it is not comfortable. It's really crying out in the beginning, then we go through the first movement, which is really, it has moments of incredible beauty and sweetness, but really very, worked up. And then the second movement, which is just the most beautiful thing you ever heard. And then a party for the last movement. And, it's just, it never gets old to play. It is such a good piece of music.
The melody is just so memorable in all of those movements. And I always feel like at intermission at any concert that has the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto, you hear people just humming the tune all the time. Of the 3 movements, which one is your favorite?
I mean this really sincerely. It is a connected piece. It's basically a one movement.
It's a journey. Yes.
And I really do think of it as this one giant movement. And without the first movement, the third movement sounds kind of, it sounds fun, but you have no idea the context. There's a difference between fun and like unbridled joy, because you've been through a hard time. This is what's so great about music. It's, if life's great and then something good happens, that's great. But if life has really got you down and something good happens, it's euphoric. And that's when you listen to the last page of the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto and you come to it having never heard the first couple movements, you have no idea the context that it comes out of. And
it's very true.
When you have the context, it'll make you cry because it's so beautiful. And I
Well,
don't know if you can tell I miss performing.
I think we all do. One of the beautiful moments to me is that buildup of the first movement where it's also very climactic, and then you have the moment that you feel that the audience will want to just applaud and get on their feet, but then there's that one lone bassoon just holding that sort of that lifeline of this concerto, just waiting for it to drop into the next harmony, which is the second movement, which is just so warm. And I always get goosebumps in that moment. Just
me too. I just got goosebumps right now. I just got goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, let's listen to the last page of the Mendelssohn. But before we do that, I just want to recognize some. Hello, hi, Conrad, pianist Conrad Tal is here. Thanks for joining. And then also Margot, also violinist.
Peter
Cellist Peter. Thank you. Thanks.
So good to see people virtually on a screen.
And connect. Yeah, most definitely. So here we go. This is a performance with you and my orchestra, Savannah Philharmonic, back in November at the Lucas Theater for the Arts. And
Samir Patel.
Guest conductor Samir Patel. I love the build up here.
Oh yeah.
Yay!
And can I just say, a great audience. I really remember that performance well. It's such a great orchestra, such a great audience, and a really beautiful hall.
Yeah, it's yes, all of the above. We have such a wonderful orchestra, and then the hall is really nice, and the patron of Savannah, they just love classical music. And one of our staff from Savannah Philharmonic is saying, "Hi, well, we loved having you in Savannah. Incredible performance, and we will never forget it." Yes,
thank you,
Catherine.
And I think that she just got married. Did she not?
She just got married, and then there is also a baby on the way. So we're very excited for her. One of my close friend and violinist Kyoko Takezawa is also watching the show. Winner of the Indianapolis competition, jury and judge of the Indianapolis competition, and just very wonderful Japanese violinist. She was on the show on the Japanese version of the show last week, and just a very supporter and of young talent and amazing player. So thanks Kyoko for watching.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor.
Lots of claps. You're seeing 888 a lot because in Japanese we say when we clap we say pachi 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 pachi, and pachi is 8 in Japanese. Pachi.
Oh, I love that.
So that's why in Japan we have gotten in this very in this culture of watching a lot of the concerts online now, live streaming, and then we could put clapping emojis or people just 8s, like lots of 8s around the screen, and then to say bravo to the people. So you'll see that flowing in and out. So let's talk just a little bit about how you came about with the violin, what was your introduction to violin, and when did you decide to pursue your career in music?
I'm not unique in this, but I come from a family that is not at all professional musicians. And I think in many ways it's a gift, because I came to it with kind of no preconceived notions at all. And I don't remember this story because it was so long ago, but I first really heard the violin when I was 3. And my mom said that I was so incessantly begging for a violin that they relented and got me one when I was 4. And if a 3-year-old is begging about anything longer than 20 minutes, then you know it made an impression. So I've always really loved the violin and had a connection to the sound of it. I mean, I think every musician gets major instrument jealousy at times. We all want to pick up the cello and play the cello and play the piano, but I really do. I feel really lucky to play the violin. I just played the violin because I really loved it. I was motivated, but I didn't think like, my parents certainly weren't putting any pressure on me. That was never their intention. And the whole violin career has been, I think, more just as much a surprise to them as it is to me. And but I do remember I won a local competition when I was 8, and as a result of that, I got to play with the Utah Symphony when I was 9, and I still remember that performance. And that
is a very nice local competition.
Yeah, and I remember
what a great prize.
Yeah, I wore my tails on stage, and I still remember playing the Vivaldi G minor concerto first movement from the Suzuki books.
How old were you?
9. I was just a little kid, and that made such an impression on me, obviously. That really showed me that I could take it very, very seriously, not just I really love to do this. Thought, oh wow, I really love to do this. And so pretty much from that point, I went out and played for Robert Lipset in Los Angeles, and I thought it was a master class, and he thought it was an audition, and it worked out. And that really kind of set me on a path to getting exposure to the music world. And
it's wonderful. If you weren't a violinist, would you have chosen a different instrument, you think? Now that you've been so exposed to the realm of classical music and
I mentioned cello before, of course. I mentioned piano, of course, just talking about great pieces and such versatility for pianists. I mean, just being able to play with yourself, and not the violin works as a solo instrument, but not like the piano. And it would be great to play one of those instruments. And then I actually am a huge fan of classical guitar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just love listening to classical guitar, and I love that. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Kyoko is asking if you started with the Suzuki method.
I sure did. And this week would be teaching at Suzuki Institute here in Salt Lake. We have a huge Suzuki Institute. And I was looking forward to that, to teaching and doing some playing too.
Kyoko is a protege of Suzuki, and when Suzuki toured with the 10 violinists, 10 string players from Japan back in the 70s, I think, 60s or no 70s, I think. She was one of that first generation of violinists that toured around the world.
Wow.
With Suzuki to promote the Suzuki method. She also is, she's been living in Paris for quite some time, for more than half of her life, but she just recently moved back to Japan to head the Suzuki method after Suzuki. So she is the Suzuki method person now.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You know what I have to say about the Suzuki method? I mean, I'm quite far removed from my time as a Suzuki student now. It's been, decades, but it's great music. Yeah. It's not a series of etudes and, you know, exercises. It's great music that you learn to play the violin on, and that's just that's
yeah.
fantastic.
It was interesting to have her on the show the other day because she talked about, you know, she grew up with the Suzuki method, toured around the world, and then met Dorothy DeLay, and then went to Juilliard at a very young stage, and then had to learn all the, you know, the technical side of things, which is, you know, different methodology than the Suzuki method. So so that is Kyoko, but she's very, you know, keen on Suzuki people. We also have some hello from Concertmaster of Tucson Symphony, Lauren. Thanks.
Oh
Thanks,
my
Lauren.
gosh, Lauren Rod.
And we
Been way too
have
long.
hello from Rick. Hello from Andrea Ashdown. So,
Yes.
tell us just a little bit. I just want to share this video, and if you could share us about your experience from this performance. This is the 2015 Queen Elizabeth competition. Now you're looking much younger than you.
Much younger and totally beardless.
What was this competition experience for you like?
So much fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what I'll tell you about this is a competition. Most competitions, the audience is you, whoever's collaborating with you, your mom, and the jury. And Queen Elizabeth competition, the semi-final round, I come out and it's packed. And I go, what is going on? This is amazing. You get recognized on the street. And it's pretty cool. That was just right now, that moment on stage, that was pretty exciting. Pretty exciting. I mean, memorably exciting. It kind of, and it's so, you know, you're on national TV, people are watching all over the world, and it's really a surreal experience that, you know, it's really a once in a lifetime, because if you make it to the finals, you're never able to do the competition again. And so really a once in a lifetime experience. And what I'll say, I mean, I just like everybody else, music is not a competition. And it's funny at a competition that, you know, there's no way to assign numbers and places to performance. And I don't like ranking a subjective field, but what it does do is the audience is listening to you.
Right. It's great exposure of who you are as an artist, and it's just a wonderful medium for doing that. Success in a competition, you know, can swing anyway. And some people who win don't do so well in career. Some people who don't win do fantastic in their career. So it's all about, you know, exposure in a very positive sense.
Yeah. It definitely helped me. That's pretty much when my professional career began. I now am represented by MKI Artists, and they signed me as a result of that competition. So I'm certainly grateful to that competition. And I mean, competitions are both bizarre. They can be absolutely heartbreaking, and they can be fun. Totally dependent on a million different factors, of course. Of course, I liked the competitions better that I did better in. And
well, that's a natural response, of course.
Yeah, but I mean,
and that's totally okay.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for the time that I had at that competition, and it was definitely a good memory.
Great. We have a question from Japan saying, please share some story background on your album Danse Russe.
Thank you for the question. My dear friend Albert Kano-Smith, who's an amazing pianist, Albert and I recorded this album at Teldec Studios in Berlin. I self-produced the album, and I just really wanted to do an album, and I wanted to do it on my own. And I picked this program because I thought it would do really well on stage. It just really upbeat, dynamic music, really dynamic music throughout. Yeah. So we've got Stravinsky and Prokofiev the whole way through. Some of the classics like Suite Italienne. The divertimento is getting more and more played. people probably recognize the second movement more. Anybody who watches the violin channel, because I love these pieces. I love these pieces, and it was a lot of work to put this album together, and it's very satisfying. This is my first album. It's really satisfying to finish that album and have it out there, and it's also extremely intimidating because that video that you put on of Tchaikovsky, the video you put out on Mendelssohn, I'm already going, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take that tempo faster. I want to take that tempo slower. I want to do this articulation, do that. So every time I hear myself, I'm thinking, oh, actually, I think maybe I'll play that on the A string. I really...
Well, it's that video of Tchaikovsky is 5 years ago. Like we hope that you have changed and aged and have more facial hair, and
I've done one of those things.
It all encompasses your growth as an artist. So Danse Russe is available just on iTunes, or is it also available in print?
Spotify, print.
Spotify.
When I last checked the print, they had shut down factories that distribute that due to COVID. So I need to look at that again.
But people can access it quickly via iTunes and Spotify. Fantastic.
Exactly.
Lauren says, love the pieces on Danse Russe.
Thanks so much, Lauren. Lauren is an incredible violinist, and I remember
amazing violinist.
Amazing. Yes. And at the concert that we played, there were these prominent concertmaster solos, and I remember being like, wow, she's great. Yeah,
Tucson Symphony is very lucky to have her as a concertmaster. Peter is saying, between Stravinsky, Prokofiev, and Shostakovich, if you had to choose one composer to never listen to again, which one would it be? What kind of a question is this, Peter? Okay,
just setting me up to be, I'm going to have to be diplomatic and not pick any of them.
What?
I don't have any Shostakovich on the album, though. So
I see.
Maybe Shostakovich. But it's interesting. I have the Shostakovich first violin concerto. Well, both of the violin concertos. It's just somehow I've never played either of them, and so that's a piece I'm certainly looking forward to learning.
I see. Well, the next subjects that I wanted to ask you is, with every artist, we talk about current affairs, and then the first one that I would like to touch upon is tell us how Black Lives Matter means to you and how it influences your musical activities.
Well, I first just want to say Black Lives Matter. I think that's just such an easy thing to say, and an obvious thing to say, and it's actually, I'm looking at what's happening, and I'm thinking I'm seeing some really positive things happening. And in the music world, one of the things that's happening is people are going, oh my gosh, we hardly ever play music by Black composers. And if we do, we really need to do a better job of playing that music, and not just playing it, but digging into it, treating it like we would the classics, like Beethoven and Mozart. And I had a really fun experience playing the Chevalier de Saint-Georges concerto, one of them. I think he wrote 5. And I was introduced to this piece by Rachel Barton Pine. She loans me my violin. It's from the Rachel Barton Pine Foundation. And one of the things that foundation does is it works. One of the focuses of the foundation is on promoting music by Black composers. And she was, and I was introduced to the piece by her, and man, it is a great piece of music. And
we have a little bit of an excerpt of you from your Instagram page where you're performing with the Hilton Head Symphony with John Morris Russell, our neighbor orchestra, Hilton Head in Savannah. We share our musicians, and well, let's take a quick listen to this concerto.
Yeah, you know,
Thank you. Yeah.
such lively music, so much fun. I still remember that performance really well. Just
Mhm.
in terms of being able to really cut loose and have fun, it's a great piece of music, and just I really it's been really encouraging to see what's happening. Where I think we're going to start hearing a lot of music that is amazing that we haven't had the chance to hear, or that we have had the chance to hear and have not taken the chance.
With members of the my colleagues from the conducting field, we've been talking on my show how we have the orchestras in our country have been sort of had the tendency to perform Black composers only during Black History Month, or one concert throughout the entire 54-week season cycle. Just one concert is dedicated to, African American composer, and there's just so much wrong to that. And a lot of us conductors are trying to figure out ways to incorporate more composers throughout the season, and as important as Beethoven, as important as Mozart. Now, we talked about, you introduced us to Chevalier de Saint Georges, and he's also one of those pioneer composers that not many people are familiar with. And born in 1745 and died in 1799. Like, his nickname was the Black Mozart. And what an interesting character. You see on his photo here that he's not really holding an instrument, but he's holding a fencing, because he was a champion fencer and also a virtuoso violinist and a classical composer and conductor, who was leading a lot of the orchestras in Paris. So violin and fencing, maybe
Classic combo.
this could be something that you could adapt to. But
maybe.
Yeah,
you know
champion fencer. Say? Go ahead.
He's called the Black Mozart a lot, and he shouldn't be called the Black Mozart. He should be called Chevalier de Saint Georges.
Most definitely.
And this is what I think is going to change: is that we're going to be saying, "Wait, this music stands on its own. We don't have to compare it. We're just going to listen to this music and dig into it." And I really am looking forward. I mean, right? It's such a strange thing with COVID right now. We don't know when or where, or we'll be back on stage, but when that happens and we actually are getting back on stage, I'm really looking forward to digging into some of this great music. William Grant Still, and I mean, I have a shamefully shallow knowledge of Black composers, and there have been a lot of friends in the music community, just on social media and stuff, that have been making some great posts, kind of drawing attention to some of this amazing music that's out there. And anyway, yeah, I
wanted to show some of the options of violin concertos that are out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 violin concerto, 14 concertos that he composed, and then there are some duo concertos too.
Yeah, there are duos.
There's so many options.
And for these pieces for 2 violins as well, which Andrea, my wife, and I are going to start playing. We've been saying, hey, we need to dig into that. It's exciting. Sure. It's really exciting.
It's very exciting times, most definitely. The other social issues, current affairs, is COVID-19. So performing music has become such a routine activity for us for so many years. And then all of a sudden, because of this world crisis, performing in public has become extremely difficult. How has your attitude towards music and performing for an audience changed?
I'm so looking forward to getting back on stage. I think as performers, and really for the last few years, kind of my attention has changed. You look at that video of me playing at Queen Elizabeth. At that time, I was really in this bubble of violin playing. And we as classical musicians, we get in such a ridiculous bubble of, you didn't play that on the G string, and oh, I'm going to, these things that literally nobody hears.
Mm-hmm.
What people hear is they want to be moved by the music. And I think sincerity is key and narrative is key. I think I've been thinking more and more about just contrast and narrative in music. And I think just this time off the stage has been a real chance to get even further out of the bubble. And so when I go back on stage, I'm going to be doubly determined to be really telling a story and putting on a show rather than, since playing music is difficult, it can be really hard sometimes to not think of it as executing instead of performing. There's a huge difference between those two verbs. And I'm just really going to be focused on performing, sharing, expressing. And, during the time off, I feel very lucky to be in Utah where there's amazing nature around. I've been gardening. I've been growing my beard and taking advantage of all sorts of things like that. But I really honestly, I mean that honestly, I've been able to take advantage of a lot of things. Our dog is loving it. I'm no longer gone, and our dog is so sensitive. It's really sweet. She's really liking having me around more, and it's been amazing to spend more time at home. So I'm trying to look on the bright side of things, of course. And I think there's actually been, for me, I can say in a really privileged way, because I haven't been affected by the virus. I haven't really been affected in any way like that. For me, it's been in many ways, there are some positives to it. So I'm grateful for those, but definitely itching to get back on stage like everyone else.
Definitely. We've taken so much advantage of the fact that we always had a way to perform. Like, we got into this routine that every week there was an opportunity for us to be in front of an audience, and took that for granted. And all of a sudden for it to come taken away from us is really saddening. I'm talking to you from Japan, where emergency has been lifted, and this week I have my first rehearsal with orchestra, which is very exciting. And then I have a concert next week without an audience. And then starting July 1, we are doing concerts with audience at 50% capacity. So the programs are within the hour now. So we have to readjust the program. So the 50% of the audience can come in, and then after the 1 hour, they all leave. The second part of the 50% comes in. So all ticket holders are allowed to see the concert if they choose to come. And if they decide that it's a little dangerous, then all concerts are live streamed for them to watch at home. So
interesting.
It's see how that, and then a lot of orchestras right now are doing different testings of how much can we social distance and be safe on stage. What was interesting in an article that came out yesterday from the government was that the government's not really concerned about how catching the virus on stage for the musicians, because they'll be wearing masks, but they're more concerned about backstage, where everyone is going to be talking, and they haven't seen your colleagues in 3 months. They're going to want to talk and tell them not to talk and not to mingle with each other, with your colleagues and with your friends and with your music partners. That's going to be very difficult. It's because the backstage is a very there's usually not many windows because of sound. So I thought that was a very interesting observation by the government, saying it's gonna be okay on stage, but we're very worried about the backstage.
Yeah. You know what's I totally, that's really funny. The backstage part, I had thought about a little. The thing that I've been thinking about is walking on stage with a chamber group. I'm gonna my first live concert that's scheduled, that is as of now scheduled to happen, is on Beethoven's Septet, 7 players, and walking on stage. Are we going to have the entrance of the horn, and then a break, and then is it going to take us longer to walk on stage? Are we going to have to be shouting at each other? You know, it's just funny. One of the funny things, by the way, about one of the most interesting things I've heard was that apparently they've been asking restaurants that reopen to not play music, because the louder the
live music. Oh, I see. People
a
will
lot
talk
of the music, the louder you're talking and the more chance. It's just all these things you never thought of before.
Well, what's interesting in March when I was doing a concert, they had in the God of Voice during pre-performance announcement, they said, please refrain from saying bravo at this concert so people don't speak over each other's head. So there's the bravo is canceled, so that like
Bravo is canceled.
Please be enthusiastic with your applause, but no one's allowed to say bravo in the concert.
So strange.
What a very interesting world we live in. I have several questions that I want to make sure that we touch upon. Here. So, first, hello from Sinisha, concertmaster of Savannah Philharmonic.
Hello.
And then my colleague from Tokyo Philharmonic, also clarinetist Alessandro Beverari. He's saying hello to you, and we get to do a concert soon together. But here's a question, and then I'm going to go to Conrad's question in a moment. But how have you had an opportunity to meet any of your idols? And if so, who were they and what was the experience like?
I have been able to meet many of my idols. I've been very fortunate. And what I love about meeting this, you know, you hear recordings and you see videos and all this, and then you actually meet the person. And I've learned two things. First of all, it's really special to hear somebody play and really get to work with them. And then also everyone's just a human being. That's been a big, and Conrad has asked here, what have you learned the last few years that you tell your younger self? I think in the music community, particularly growing up as a student, there's such hero worship of big time artists, and you start really, there's lots of pressure to kind of follow these kind of superstar viewpoints, their own viewpoints. But you're really, the way to enjoy music the most is to really, at least in my experience, the way to really enjoy it the most is if you are your foremost teacher, and if you are the one who's thinking of all the ideas, making all the decisions. And I mean, I would always, if somebody said, hey, are you making all your decisions? I would say, oh yeah, of course. But I think even more, as I get older and older, just taking more risks and taking more risks. I'm going to shorten that entire thing. And actually a big part of meeting idols is seeing they take risks. They go for it. They have the confidence to go for it. And that's been a big, it's been a big learning experience for me.
Also, like being the balance of being critical and what's too much, right? Because when we're young and in the training stages of our our musical career, we're highly picky on ourselves, and we start to compare ourselves to colleagues or people who are older, and then even worse, people who are younger than yourself playing the same instrument. But it's always a constant battle of yourself, and then being honest to your musical output and finding what your voice that cannot be matched by any other person, and allowing that, understanding that voice needs time to mature. You know, you can't just all of a sudden wake up and you're like Itzhak Perlman. It doesn't happen that way. You know, we have to feed ourselves and expose ourselves and be influenced by great performances, be inspired by musicians who are better, crazier, younger, older, everything, you know.
I totally agree. And, you know, and I also think we have a responsibility in the music community to never be judgmental. Just really because confidence is built on compliments and positive reinforcement. And so if somebody takes a risk and does something that they feel strongly about, and they're really kind of poo-pooed for it, then we've done them a disservice. I think it's just, and that's what's been really nice kind of about this time off, is that I think everybody's just, I think we're all on the same team. We're all we all love music. We all love music, and it's great to hear somebody play in a completely different way. I mean, just variety is key.
Most definitely. I want our viewers to know where they can find you and your activities. So I want to introduce everyone to Will's Instagram page, where it's filled with pancakes and dogs. Is that your puppy?
The help pancakes was Andrea right when quarantine. So right when quarantine began, we got back from Paris, and like the next day there was an earthquake in Utah. There was a series of so she made help pancakes. And yes, that's my dog. That's our dog, Zuzu, our child. We love that dog. Yeah.
You have another dog photo of Zuzu's birthday.
Gosh. Back when she was
How did this little cute thing become this beautiful dog? Fantastic. Well, in Utah, I'm sure Zuzu's loving that you're home and with the families together all the time.
Yeah, she's loving it.
Wonderful. And I showed earlier, but Will's homepage is at williamhagen.com, and there, please go and check out his CD and then other media videos that are available on his website. So the concertos. I've actually haven't listened to your Lark Ascending, so I think I'm gonna check that out later.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a beautiful piece.
It is a beautiful piece. So great. Well, I think that it's we have Conrad saying Bravo is canceled hashtag, which is really funny. Thanks, Conrad.
That's so funny.
Oh, it is. Well, Will, thank you so much for your time joining us on Music Today, and thank you, audience, for joining us. I've been doing this show almost daily, and it's just a great way to just catch up with friends, and also to share our love for music and how much we miss performing on stage. So we can always hope for the best. So stay safe, Will.
Thanks. Thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for. I'm amazed with how many friends are here watching. So thank you, everyone.
Hey, thank you. Have a good night, everyone. Bye. Thank you for watching. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share this video. ありがとうございました。チャンネル登録、いいね、そしてこのビデオをぜひシェアしてください。